over? How you feel? Did you accomplish what you hoped to accomplish?
I think so. I mean, the time will tell. I think that's what you always say. It's kind of like recruiting, right? You always feel pretty good about when signing day, and in a year or so, I tell you what it really looks like. But kind of same way with camp. I mean, we had the right attitude. We competed. I think that was probably one of those things that, going into it with an older group of guys, they've always been a competitive group. You didn't want them to change just because they played a lot of football, and they did. And I know they're excited about getting into game week, as well as every one of these coaches are.
I know you probably wanted to stay out at Camp Higher Ground a couple days longer, but school starting messed that up. Was there anything good that came out of maybe getting back early?
It is. I mean, I really do think it changed it up a little bit. I think that with an older team, had this been year 2 or something, I would have said, hey, can we go online for that first 4 days and we can stay back out at Higher Ground? But I think that really smart with our ability to kind of grind it out there a little bit, not saying extra, because we always do a lot out there, but I mean, even competing and playing, to be able to come back this past week with kind of 4 days that's a little bit different, I think, to get us into the mode of game week. So kind of had that in my mind. That's why we kind of tried to push those guys through that first week and a half out there at Higher Ground that said, look, there's going to be time. You got to trust us. There's going to be time to, I don't want to say recover, but get ourselves into the right frame of mind and our bodies right as we go into game week.
We've seen you do this situational scrimmage a couple of years ago, pretty much live. You talked about having an older team. Is that a product of you don't have to necessarily run them as hard?
I think last year we did it in just helmets. Yeah. So it's just everything's a little bit different. I think this week being how it was, if not anything from today, I felt like it went a lot smoother. I think guys really understood what we were trying to do. I think they're excited about getting themselves to game week. And I feel better. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it was the most competitive thing in the world, but the ability for guys to go in and out and do a lot of the substitutions that we did, I think you can see the maturity of the group and a group that's locked in.
Is there off-field situational stuff you have to do too? Like, this is for guys who haven't done it before.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you worry about. That's why you kind of had that team meeting earlier and just said, hey, this is for some young guys too, to make sure they understand how they get their minds right about how guys get prepared and things like that. So everybody had a little bit of a different, form of what this really is. For some young guys, it's really just understand to get out of the way and let these guys do what they do, as they prepare and as they get ready for a game.
In terms of intensity and tempo, was this the best camp of the 5 that you've had?
I don't know. I mean, I do think that it was uniquely different. I think I was telling somebody this the other day. For the most part, in the first 4 camps, I would say, defense is normally ahead of the offense. Year 1, it was so hard to tell because we've struggled in every area.
Was ahead of anybody.
And but as year 2, 3, and 4 grew, defensively, I do believe that they were a good bit above the offense. And in this camp, I thought, if not for anything, the defense was challenged something incredibly and different than it had been in the first 4 years. And that put a little more pressure. That put a little more stress on those guys and their ability to kind of play together because they're not used to, the offense making this many big plays and Desmond Ritter doing what he did. So I think it really was much more challenging of a camp for the defense more than anything.
You feel like that'll benefit the defense?
I got to believe it'll benefit the defense. I think that it'll help those guys understand that how they can, handle those situations. Again, that always has been one of our Achilles heels. Is give up a big play, and we're just so competitive that sometimes we don't emotionally get ourselves back in the right place to play that next one, and one leads to another one until we can get to the sideline. So hopefully we experienced a lot more of that in the camp based on what our offense did, and hopefully we grew a lot from it.
But you're a defensive guy. Your blood's got to boil when that ball goes over the top for 50
Yeah, but
yards.
It's also something to see how you handle it too. So, I'm going to be miserable at some point in time, no matter what, when we walk off the field. But thanks for reminding me.
So we're 8 days officially from the official start of your 5th season, your first season without Marcus. That would make some coaches uneasy. That's the only DC that you've had, but you have a guy in Mark that you know well, that you trust. How does that help maybe quell any uneasiness that you may feel?
I think there's all kinds of this. I mean, really, without Doug Phillips, Doug was one of those guys for me, like Marcus, that have been someone that have been with you since day one. And, so all those things makes it a little bit uneasy. I think sometimes it's a different challenge. And I'm going to still do some things and challenge Mike in some different ways to keep him out of his comfort zone of, just doing what he's always done. And it's put me in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. It just used to that routine of when you're coming out to a game. And same thing offensively. I've really tried to do some things to, kind of mix it up over there to get them out of their comfort zone just in year 5. I mean, the comfort is a great thing, but also the discomfort can also help us grow too. So I think in the big picture, it can really help us all.
The offense catching up to the defense. In the past, the narrative's kind of been, well, this will be the best defense the offense sees, all year. Is the flip side starting to happen? Do you feel like there aren't many offenses that are better than what this defense has seen?
It could be. I mean, I really do think. I mean, there could be different offenses, just like there can be different defenses. But the combination of what we can do offensively, I think, was a great challenge to us. And anytime you play somebody for 17, 18 straight days, you're going to see what things you are going to be challenged on. And by nature, offenses do that as they go through camps. I don't know defenses by nature, kind of scheme up to do different things versus the offense they're getting. But offense is kind of, that's just the nature of the beast. So I think if anything, it's made us defensively just really recognize the things that are vulnerabilities to what it is that we do.
You probably won't give us anything specific, but how's the team physically coming out of camp? I mean, that's always a big question.
I think this weekend's a big time for us. This is a 48-hour period where really challenge them to rest and relax a little bit. And sometimes relaxing means going out and hanging out with your buddies a little bit too. But the ability for you to kind of take some deep breaths and lay around a little bit, so that when you come back in, there's a different I don't say rejuvenation, but different mindset for when Monday starts, because it is different. And I don't think we've, knock on wood, had some of those major injuries that we're worried about guys being out. But there's always those little things you just got to take care of to really get back to be healthy.
Looked like you were maybe announcing captains there.
Yeah.
Were those for the season or for game week?
Season captains, and unique type of group. I've never been one to have 7 guys that kind of represent your team. But I would say this is a unique team myself. And Desmond Ritter and Kobe Bryant were guys that were pre-elected basically based on last year, and kind of said that. And then the team voted, and offensively we also have Alec Pierce and Vinny McConnell. And then defensively, we've got Majay Sanders, Joel DeBlanco, and Brian Cook. And in some ways, it's a great representation of who we are. And in other ways, I try to remind them that there's a bunch of leaders in this program on this team, and it's all that is a representation of us. We need every single one of them. So it's a little bit, sometimes for me, it's a little bit of a counterbalance to say, okay, that's great and it's an honor, but we remind ourselves that this team is made of a lot of people like that, and no matter what, the human element creeps in when you start game weeks, and no matter what, that's what we can't allow.
This is Des' second year. Have you ever had a 2-year captain?
I have. I mean, he could have been a 3-year captain, to be honest with you. I mean, since he's really put himself in that position, he's been a leader. And that's what I mean. As a sophomore, he was one of the best leaders we had on the team. He might not have been, so to speak, captain, and we got plenty of guys like that now. Will Huber is a leader of this team, and he's a guy that's going to be called upon to do a lot of things. He might not be one of the 7 elected captains, but he's a leader every bit as much in my mind.
We're good. Thanks, guys.